right, English time. Really, this week it's English, reading, and science time for this little short video. I hope that you picked an interesting habitat for you to research yesterday during your English, writing, and science and reading time. So one of these are what habitat you should be researching. The desert, wetlands, which is also can be kept with fresh water, polar region, evergreen forest, and rainforest. I am also going to allow you to do the ocean habitat also. So any of those habitats are what we're researching. So as we got started yesterday, reading a book, a nonfiction book about your habitat, we needed to look at one other detail today. So in our English book this morning, we are going to look at page 331. This is actually in the chapter before, but that's okay. We're going to find 331. And this is going to talk about our sources. And in your research packet, there is a whole page on the back that's called sources. And that means where we are finding the information that we are writing about. Those are called sources. This page 331 and 332 on the back is going to tell us how to write those sources down. It's called documenting the sources. So nobody says that we're stealing their information. We are just using the information from them, but we're giving them the credit on the back by writing our sources down. Okay, on 331, hopefully you're there. This is a page about using the computer. And this gives us some tools about using the internet. The internet can be great for online school with Mrs. Perry, but it also can hold a lot of things that you do not want to see, things that Satan wants to poison our mind with, but that is not God's plan for our lives. So we are going to read these tools. Let's look at the yellow box. The computer connects us to the internet. The internet provides information about many topics, including habitats. Use the internet safely. Remember to use our tools. And then it gives us on those little cute cell phones, TOOLS down the side. Tools, what does that mean? T, tell your parents if you ever see something on the computer that is unkind or wrong. So if you look up a habitat and it takes you someplace that doesn't seem right, it's not talking about your habitat, maybe there's a bad picture on there or something, tell your parents immediately. Don't look at it. O, only visit websites that you have permission to visit. If you look up a habitat, always put for kids after it on the internet so they know it's a kid or a student looking up something, and they'll give you kid-friendly websites that won't get you into yucky things. So only kid-friendly websites. The other O, only read, speak, and listen to words that pleases God. So just like I was saying, if you come across the bad picture, now that would not please God for us to see. So we're going to get off that. We're not going to look at that. L, let no one on the computer know your passwords, address, or phone number. Maybe you come across a website that said, hey, do you have any questions? And you could actually type in a question and talk to some researchers that may be on there. That's super fun and awesome. But if somebody would ever say, hey, tell me your address where you live, that is not okay. They should not ever need to know where you live. If they want to tell you about the polar region, great. If they want to know where you live, not a good idea. Leave, tell your parents, get off that website. S, serve and love others with technology. So we are just going to wanted to go through those reminders. So when we research, we are making sure that we are protecting our mind from Satan's temptations. because this is the first time that we are having you, a school is having you, that we together are going to be on the internet researching something. So I would just have your parents or your family, somebody nearby, just in case you get into something that is not good, and they can quickly get you out of it. Okay, so all that to say, there's some rules for using the internet. Now flip over the page to 332. On that page, you'll see a lot of empty spaces, and it says book sources. So here, we are going to do an example of a book source, and it does tell you this on the back of your research pack. I just wanted to go through this today because you're going to start researching, and the book you read yesterday could even can count. I want you to know what to do with those sources so you don't have to remember, oh, where was that from, or what did I look at? Now we can write it down, and we can write the sources as we research it. So on the back here it says the title of the book is going to be underlined, then we're going to put a comma, and then we're going to write the author's name, okay? So I brought a nonfiction book that I had at my house. It says, Hang On, Monkey. Now this one looks like, well, that's kind of a funny title, and so maybe that's not a nonfiction book, but remember, it has captions, it has real pictures, and it just has facts in it about different kinds of monkeys. I did not have a habitat book, but your books will be about habitats. So if I was going to document this source, if I took something out of this for my research project, I would have to write to the title, Hang On, and when they capitalize their letters, you capitalize your letters. Hang on, comma, a capital monkey, and then an exclamation point, just like they did. And then, so I have Hang On Monkey. I'm going to underline it because that's what it says to do. Then I'm going to put a comma down here. And then I'm going to write the author's name. And I am going to put Susan B. Newman. Okay, so when we write down a source that's a book source and document it, we put the title just like is written. Any capitalizing, they capitalize it. We do on here. Hang On, comma, monkey. I underline that whole title, a comma, and then here's the author's name, Susan B. Newman. So that is how you document a source that is a book. And it tells you on here too, it has title, underline, comma, and then the author, okay? Now, let's look. You don't have to write that down. I know that I didn't show it very long. So just remember, for a book, you write the title and underline it, comma, the author's name. Now, what do we do when we look on the internet? Now, I couldn't have a computer right here because that just would be a little too tricky. But say I find an article, and I'll just stick with this because I don't have a, well, I'll just put deserts, okay? Because that would probably be an easy to find one. So when I look up desert for kids, search it, and I find a National Geographic really cool write-up on the desert, that write-up is called an article. Okay, because it's not a book, it's not in a book form, but it would just be an article. So we are going to look on our internet sources, says that we're going to put the title of the article in quotes. So if I typed in deserts for kids and I searched it and this really cool National Geographic one came up, and maybe it was called Hot Deserts, okay? So I'm going to put a capital where they put a capital. And then we're going to use quotation marks, kind of like two commas together around the sides. Quotation marks, we see those a lot in books when someone is talking, okay? But these these quotation marks are identifying the title of our article. So I researched deserts. This pops up, ooh, hot deserts. Oh, I like that one. So I'm going to put the title in these quotation marks, then I'm gonna put a comma, and then I'm going to put the source's name. So I am going to put where I found that on the internet. My board is a little too small, so I'm gonna just write it on the next line. So I'm gonna put Kids National, ooh, this is so long, Geographic.com. Ooh, I barely fit it. Okay, so on kids.nationalgeographic.com, that's what I'm gonna write. When I clicked on this hot deserts thing and it came up, here's the title of the article in quotation marks, comma, and then where I found it. This is kind of like the internet's author. So where did you find this really cool thing about the deserts? On kids.nationalgeographic.com. You have to write the whole place you found it, okay? So we are doing careful research today on our habitat. When we find a book on Epic or a book you have or a book you borrowed, write it with the title, all capitalized like it's supposed to, with the underlined, a comma, and then the author's name. Now, sometimes they don't have authors. You can just put unknown or something like that if you would look somewhere that doesn't have an author. So if not, just put unknown, and that will be the author spot. And then so you can write that on the back. You have to have 3 books and 2 internet sources. And so when you do an internet search for kids, then you're going to put the title of the article in quotes, a comma, and then where you found it. kidsnationalgeographic.com or kidslovescience.com or wherever would be the source of your internet site. Might have to ask parents where the source is if you can't see it. Okay, so you don't have to do any paperwork in your English book today. I just wanted to show you that. So as we research, you will be able to write down your sources and not forget where you got your interesting facts from. So today you're finding another resource. If you want to look on the internet, do it safely. And if you want to find another book, do that. You should be filling up what your habitat looks like, what animals live in your habitat, what plants are in your habitat, what's your weather like, and then some extra interesting facts, at least 5, you can have more. And then here's where you write your sources. Now if you go hog crazy and have a lot more, just write them up here somewhere so I can see them, okay? I love learning about God's world, and I am so excited that we get to do this research project. And so this will cover your reading again and your science and English because we're writing. All right, happy researching.